Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Dancers podcast. I'm super excited to have a special guest again, of course, today. Igor, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Igor. I'm 28. Uh, I'm a dancer in Batsheva Dance Company for the past 10 years. Um, yeah, I think that's it for now.
I actually think there is much more. So I want to ask you to begin with if you can tell us a little bit about your journey into dance.
Basically, I grew up in the north of Israel, and my mom wanted me to be very busy and occupied, so I'm not hanging out in the streets too much. So she just sent me to as many studios as possible. So I started as a hip hop dancer. I did also judo and kung fu, and just yeah, moving turned me on way more in a very clear way. And so I was very hyperactive kid, and so hip hop um, stuck to me better. And then I did some ballroom as also like my Soviet mother um, wanted me to be, cultured. So I did some ballroom, hip hop, and when I realized I'm really passionate about dancing and moving, I decided that I want to be a dancer when I'll be older. Um, so we heard about this school for the arts in Haifa. It was like an hour and a half away from where we lived, but I had a dream, and so that was a path. And so then at grade seven ish, yeah, grade seven, I started going to a dance department in a school for the arts. And then I started doing ballet and modern Martha Graham, and slowly got exposed to the contemporary world. And yeah, then some summer intensives and scholarship competitions and things like that. And when I graduated, I was freelancing actually for 1 year. I did a project with it was a co-production of Suzanne Dalal Center and the Israeli Opera, choreographed by Itzi Galili. And I did a few other projects. I even got to do a musical it was a Billy Elliot in the Israeli production. And I at first they had a injured dancer. At first I just got to like do one scene. He has the scene where he's dreaming about how he will be when he's grown up dancer, and then I would come for like a 3 minutes wannabe ballet scene, not really, and would leave. But we ran many shows, and so I that was fun. And then the year after, I already joined the ensemble, the young company of Batsheva.
Mhm.
That was, and then
And,
yeah, the rest is history.
and
Or
when you were younger and you started dancing, you said you started with ballroom, then you started transitioning into ballet and contemporary. What did you like dream that your life as a dancer would look like?
Well, I had no idea, honestly. That was the part of it, like a lot of inspiration came from the movie Step Up back then. That was kind of and I had this like I'll be a dancer and I'll perform, and but no one knew what it meant. Like that's the honest truth, and this is part of like the resistance, not too much, but like a little bit of resistance from the parents in the beginning, because my mother had this fantasy of me being I don't know, coder or something. So she really envisioned me being this analytical mind, good at math kind of thing. And so when I was like, I'm gonna be a dancer, she was like, but I planned this life for you. So that was tricky. And also, what does it mean to be a dancer? to like the only dancers that we knew were people from, let's say, my hip hop studio, who grew there, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years, and now they're good enough and they're being teachers in the studio, in the same studio they grew up. And so we didn't really had any vision for what it meant. And only when I got to the School for the Arts and we suddenly saw a performance, I think one of the first shows was by like a KCDC, the Kibbutz Contemporary Company. And suddenly I saw a life of people who are, they're dancers in a company. They travel the world. They perform in big theaters. Like all the people like applaud to them, and it's this like art and it was so abstract and like confusing maybe because it's not clear. I knew ballet, I knew ballroom, I knew hip hop, and suddenly there is this field almost that can incorporate different kinds of movement that is not even on a beat in this ambient, weird, abstract music, and the lights change, and suddenly, like it was hard to put in a box, but it like made you feel a lot. So, and then I was like, okay, I think I'll dance in KCDC. So only then I was like, okay, like, oh, it's actual job. Like you have rehearsal 10 till 5, whatever it is, and many shows and the traveling the world and tours was also such a, something I couldn't imagine coming from a poor family and not having too many, like summer vacations and things like that. So suddenly this was, I don't know, it was overwhelming and exciting, and there was no question about it. Like, no, this is where I'm going.
I want to ask because you said you were coming from a poor family and dance education, like learning dance, is a very expensive business.
Yeah, I basically got scholarships anywhere and everywhere I went. Um, from different institutions, different situations. Sometimes, um, I went to a summer intensive, and the organizer of the summer intensive, virtuos, why not? And Uzi was just like gave me a discount or just didn't take money, or there was like many things like that. And I won scholarships and at school because the school was like semi-private but also kind of government funded. I don't know how to specify that too much, but we applied for scholarships, and I had a lot of good people on the way willing to help. And uh, the head of the dance department in my middle school became like a mother to me and really took care of me and helped me. Like you send an audition to a summer intensive, but like we didn't really have money for a flight ticket or paying for the course. So she was just like, let's send an email and request and explain the situation. Like, uh, she loved me a lot and saw something in me, I don't know, talent, passion, and she really wanted to help me, like make the path and make the jump. And so many times, back then it really felt like I had no idea what to do whatsoever. So it's like her name is Michal Hassan, and so she was like, oh yeah, that's what we do. Send an email, ask for either a discount or a scholarship, or let's ask this travel agency. She went to a travel agency, told them like, hey, I have this student of mine. He got a big scholarship to summer intensive in New York, and at this young age, like he doesn't. I don't know. It's rare, and he's so talented. And let's help the boy make his dream come true. And so the woman from the travel agency just gave me a, just bought, or I don't know, I guess they have like, so she just got me a flight ticket to New York and back, and it wasn't not from, from my money or my teachers, or like just literally came to a travel agency. I thought, it's someone she knew, but she didn't. She just went and asked. And then arriving to New York, I had no relatives or anyone I knew there to, how to get me from I was like 14 or 15. I had very poor English. And how do I even get from JFK to Sunny Purchase, whatever? And it's like, so my teacher had a family, so I spent one night at their place, and then they drove me to the college campus. Like, it's just like things happen
Wow.
just like foot on the gas, keep pedaling, like just make it happen, like ask for help, you know? And
This
that
is such
was,
an incredible story.
yeah.
Like really, I'm mesmerized by it because I feel like sometimes we really we let life control us in a way that we think, okay, I don't have money, then I can do it.
Hmm.
But it's enough to talk to people sometimes in order to find more possibilities of making things happen. And this is such an inspiring like example for it. And I want to ask you something about it because did you feel like it pushed you to do more? Like it brought the fire inside of you, or did it make you feel nervous that you have to prove?
I think no, more fire. The thing I had to prove, um, my mom built a lot of ego in me from a young age. And so the proof was like proving to myself mainly. And I was at moments, almost delusional with my confidence and some sort of almost like a superhero complex. And things look very unreasonable or unlikely to happen. And I would still be like, I got it. And I would work a lot. And of course, once, we went to the audition to get a scholarship, like whoever makes it in the audition gets a scholarship for the summer intensive. And we went there not really thinking like, will it happen, or like really wanting, but we didn't know if it's going to happen. And suddenly I got the scholarship, and then like, okay, next step, let's figure out how the fuck we're going to get there. And so suddenly like, oh, we like this woman donated a flight ticket for me. And so suddenly it was like, then like, yes, like a lot of like dominoes fall in order for me to make my dream come true, and or go and experience and learn from other teachers, see other dancers, see the world. And so like it just kind of built even more ambition, even more like, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna be the best, and I'm gonna learn and push myself and stretch. So yeah, I think with me personally, it was a little less like the nerves of proving myself uh, was less of my experience. Yeah.
So the confidence that you had was built by the coincidences of the dominoes falling and things happening to you, or did it happen prior to that?
I think that it happened prior to that. But obviously, seeing success and getting this outside validation helps. It boosts it even more. Um, Yes, I think my mom really, like, from a really young age, like 3, 4, 5 years old, would constantly compliment me and constantly, but really not just to like, oh, you're so beautiful. Um, and I'm honestly also not sure that's the best thing, like that's the best strategy, because at moments later in life, I really felt like I'm confident. Like she would tell me that I'm like the best looking or the best or the most talented or so always it kind of came as a comparison to something. And so almost that my confidence was built on outside validation or in relationship to something. So that later in life, when I did experience failure, here or rarely or I just don't remember them because it's also a lot of it is a matter of perception that there were a moment in life, let's say between kind of 13 14 to 17-ish, that I kind of struggled with my confidence because I realized that it's really built on outside validation, and suddenly when I fail, my confidence collapses and I don't have it, and I'm even panicking maybe, or just, yeah, really really not confident. And so that was like a new journey I started with myself of, kind of like having confidence that is not dependent on the result, but maybe on more on the path or believing in what I want to achieve. And let's say I went to first time I went to a scholarship audition, I didn't get it. And so, yeah, and so to not have like, oh, this means I'm not a good dancer, or like to not let these feedbacks to push me down, sort of. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about what happened when you got into the company, the ensemble? How did this journey start for you?
Very confusing. Very confusing. I think the first time when you arrived to Batsheva, also I was very young, but I had professional experience. Like I had this 1 year of being a freelancer and I had a lot of work. I did many projects. I really worked a lot. So I had this already, way of how to work, being professional, being, as a freelancer, you sort of get paid by the hour. So you're used to, okay, there's an 2 hours rehearsal, you come and you work. And sometimes in the company, like when I joined, half of the dancers, it was like their second year or third year in the ensemble. And I got there, and so let's say at least half or 60% of the dancers already know all the material, and they were making jokes and this kind of like light atmosphere, and I was shocked. Like my honest first like 2, 3 weeks was kind of like, that's a kindergarten, but it's just like a very different way of working. Later I learned how to combine, lightness and progress, and it was tricky. And when you enter Batsheva, in the beginning there is a feeling that everyone knows something that you don't. This kind of like people are in this world doing Gaga for, some of them doing Gaga for a few years, already had interactions with the Ohad. So it was really like everyone knows something that I don't, like I'm just not part of the culture yet. And then experiencing a year doing Gaga, doing Ohad's rep, performing a lot, getting more comfortable with the whole situation. Then you start your second year and you see newcomers in their first year experiencing the same thing, that kind of like, wow, everybody knows something that I don't, like almost like a imposter syndrome sort of thing. And you see them and you're like, you see the, that I experienced that. I know the look on your face, like you feel foreign maybe. And then you realize it's not that everybody knows something extra that you don't. It's almost like one layer less. It's not extra, it's less, like maybe just less worry or less feeling of something, but it's not, I know the secret and you don't. It's just there's no secret. Just, take a second. A journey takes time. You're a beginner in this place. And so whatever you do, for your first performance, your first time you improvise in front of your colleagues, like you, you're the it's the first time you're the beginner, the new meat, whatever that is doing it. And so there is this like spotlight on you in a way, not like it matters nothing, but a lot of it is in your head, but also in others. Like they look at you and they're like, oh, like, oh, interesting. But it's not necessarily they're judging you. Like it just, yeah. So the beginning is a lot of, Batsheva has this name, aura, so, and almost like mysterious place that it just takes a second to dive in and to become, a member proper by feeling like you're a member from day one. It's just by feeling. You don't feel blended yet in the beginning. So,
Beautiful. I loved what you said about the beginner because we all go through this. Even if you're not having this when you come into a company, even if you go to an audition and it's the first time you meet this choreographer and this kind of style of movement, and then you have to present yourself, it's okay to let yourself be a beginner. Like
mhm,
nobody asks you to look advanced when you're just starting.
mhm,
And like I think the amazing message that came out of what you're saying is that don't be afraid of showing yourself in a place that you're not yet familiar with.
mhm.
It's okay to find your way. It's okay to walk in the darkness until you see the light. And I love that because I can also very much relate to it with my experience. Um,
You know, Back then it was this weird, maybe potentially overwhelming experience. But today, being 10 years in the company that I'm, already really familiar, actually being being a beginner at something, like, or just really to suck at something, is like one of my favorite things. Like I started in the past a year or two go climbing, like, and you really in the thing about the beginning is that any little new thing that you learn improves you by much. So the most amount of progress you feel when you're a beginner, when you really suck at something, and someone gives you like a hint, oh, like just maybe like put the leg first, like anything, basic anything. So I really love being a beginner, sucking at something, and learning and just feeling, progressing a lot. So yeah.
I agree so much. And also I had the same experience when I left the ensemble and I went to look for more things that I was interested in and I went to study acting.
Hmm.
And I remember that I felt like a baby. I was like, okay, I'm allowed to suck at this. This is not dance. This is my way of correcting my experience with dance. Now I can fail. Now I can make fun of myself. And
Hmm.
it's fine because this is the learning process.
Hmm.
And wow, this is such a beautiful topic. I'm so happy that we were talking about it. And I'm going back to the question that I wanted to ask because you said you came to this unfamiliar place and you felt like the spotlight was on you. Also, it's this kind of feeling that you're being watched. And I would like to reframe it for the people who are listening that this is the moment people get to discover you. And one of the most important skills, especially as a performing artist, is to allow yourself to be seen because you want to share something. You put your body on stage. So I'm going back. I wanted to ask about Gaga. Did you have a prior experience with Gaga, or was it completely fresh when you got there and you started meeting it?
I had some experience, not too much. I took part in a summer intensive of Batsheva at grade, don't remember, 9, between 8 to 10, for like a 5 days. And later in high school, we had a teacher, his name is Shaked, and he gave Gaga classes once a week. So at some point, I think a year or two, like I used to take classes, but it just still felt so I sort of had an idea of what it is, but it's so hard to like it's basically incomparable to what happens once you get to Batsheva. Like your understanding of things uh, deepens, and yeah, tricky to explain.
No, but it does make sense because when you practice something every day, you can actually go very much deep inside of it and you can kind of master it.
Yes. Also, it's just that you develop a new relationship with the same things. Like I took Gaga classes and I've been told do curves, waves, whatever. And I think it's also some like and I could do, I did also different types of dance. So from I don't know, my hip hop or whatever. So I could like, yeah, curves, like whatever. But then I think something about how Ohad challenges your perception, especially in the beginning, um, that whatever you do is not just this thing that you do. Like curves, okay, curves, but then kind of let's expand it. It curves can be also not just I'm doing a curve. It can be something abstract. It can be a curve from within, from outside, like how you do it, few curves at the same time. Like and as you do curves, actually keep feeling your skin, resonating out, and you do curves, but like, what about your neck, your dead flesh, So you're like, oh, even if you don't like move the neck now, it still has to be alive. Like, so a lot of things kind of get more dimensions, and so you really, it's like I took gag classes before, but I almost didn't,
Yeah, definitely know what you're talking about.
Can I ask you also? Did you have an experience
Yeah.
prior to Batsheva? How was it for you? Like in terms of Gaga, did you have a Gaga experience?
I had a bit of a Gaga experience before. I was taking Gaga classes, Gaga dancers. I took the workshop, the dance workshop, with Yara Moses.
Hmm.
So I was familiar with Gaga, but then when you do it every single day, you get to find so many new things because maybe you practice the same thing day after day, but each day you discover something new, especially when you start to feel the burnout. This is when I felt like
Hmm.
I discovered the most. When I came to class and I felt like, oh my God, not again. This is boring. This is when I found out the most because I remember also starting to teach, looking for more myself, more than the teacher is giving. And this gave me a lot because each teacher gives a lot from their own world. But when you combine their task with your knowledge of your body, of the world of movement, then you can find really incredible things. And I feel like this is something that I practice until today with my students that are mostly people, but I look at them, I see what they need, then I check my body, I see what I can give them to help them, and I also take inspiration from them. So, yeah, it's a very interesting process. I feel like the more you do it, the more boring it becomes, the more you will find out.
Yeah, I loved it. Like what you said, especially about the burnout. I can really relate to it, but I had a very specific experience um, with the burnout and performing. And because we like this is one of the most monumental moments for me in my development as a performing artist was we had this show Kamuyot, which is mainly a kids show, family show, but we perform a lot in schools, and many times it's a very early morning, pick up at 6:30 in the morning, drive who knows where to have two shows, let's say 8 and 10 or 10, 12, depends on how far you went. And many times with kids that don't even really want to be there. They just came to school and they're like, oh, an activity. Like they put us in the sports gym and we like, there's like an arena and like the stage is sort of a arena square with benches around in a square, and they're like, oh, no math today, like they're like it's an activity, but they're not gonna like sit there and listen. And after 20 shows, when you're like, oh, tomorrow kamuyot, and like waking up and for a bus pickup at 6, having to perform and having the responsibility uh, for to create a magical moment, with the right tension, with also depends on which part, but and just really being there and feeling I don't want to be here. Not that I don't want to dance, and I it's just like at this moment right now I don't want to be here. Like I barely slept. I'm still like this, and I need to create a moment that is for kids that don't want to be there, or like they want to be there because they don't want to study, but they don't really care to respect you. Sometimes they're just loud and and so how do I create a potentially magnificent moment with tension, with a lot of content there expressing something when I don't want to be there. And I started having this separation between kind of what I do and the product that I'm creating, or the product that I'm serving the company or whatever, or the show, and from like it's not like the show of my life, like today, like let's say like you got a solo or something, so it's like the solo of my life. Like, no, you perform like 100 shows sometimes, and you don't want to be there every day. Not every day I feel it from the bottom of my heart. And so, or like you went through a breakup, and you just I don't want, and also sometimes like having like a heartbreak, or like you went through something and just the world is heavy on you, and you go to perform, and you let it out there. Sometimes no, and so this was the burnout moment really. Like I feel like I really learned something from it. Like I have a responsibility. I can create a beautiful moment even if it's not like what I want. And there's something about like being generous there and not selfish. And yeah, I don't know. Blah, blah, blah.
Amazing. Can you say a little bit more about this separation? What is the process that you're going through in order to create this moment?
Wow, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think having sometimes I have this mantra in my head, or this sentence, that it's not about you. I have this sentence. I'm not sure how to sew it,
Oh, it's amazing.
but yeah, people paid tickets. They come to see a show. You like the company counts on you. Like you're part of a group, and this is kind of like I think it has to do with like your integrity, um for your choices, basically, to become a dancer. Like the show cannot uh happen, or like you cannot be a reliable dancer company member. Like if you're, it doesn't matter how talented you are, but one day you perform, one day like, no, I have a headache. Yeah, and of course, like things happen, and but if you're just this like unstable, super talented, but not reliable, it just doesn't work. You many time with this kind of behavior, people get injured. People, like last moment you come to perform and suddenly someone is like, last moment, oh, I can't perform. Like a lot of it, there's a chain reaction. Someone needs to replace him. Someone needs to, so maybe someone works extra. There is a double show we perform. There is a show that we perform, like there's a specific setup to build, and the to build the setup, it takes a lot of work. So when we perform this show with the heavy setup, the company tries to make as many shows in a row and also a double show, and suddenly, and you have a co-cast, and your co-cast suddenly like, oh no, so your co-cast needs to double the work. Like there's something, I think it's almost beyond um like being a dancer. Like there's something about being reliable, um
Shall I say being a team player?
a team player maybe, yeah, and you want to be a contributor rather than a liability, because it's just, yeah, team
So, with
player.
all that being said, can you tell us a little bit about company life? How do you experience that?
Company life, like socially, you mean more, or
Whatever.
whatever? Uh, it's interesting. It's intense. I think it's a relatively unique experience. We spend a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot of time together. And you start knowing the people on levels that almost like they are blind to certain things about themselves that you see. And you also have to come to a conclusion that also people see things on you that you're blind to yourself. And it becomes a little bit like like a family by default, by like there is no other choice. And it's also, almost like hard to be angry at someone when you really understand them. And but also suddenly, or not suddenly, there are moments that people really annoy you. Like there is, I don't know, you have some sort of like, I don't know, tendencies, or someone is like complaining a lot, and so I was like, I need space. But again, it's like family, you can be mad at family also, and you probably, many of us experience needing some space from our family, but it doesn't mean you're, canceling the family. Um, yeah, I had relationships in the company. I had breakups in the company. I had people I learned a lot from, and by the way they work, or how people put like perspective on things, that it's so easy to get carried with the wave, and just doing company life and blah blah blah, that you forget that also there is something healthy about, this is your job. And and I think it's something more younger to be like, I'm a dancer, that's my life. And then you're like, wait, like sometimes I need a second from this. And this is my job. And I don't have to spend all my time with my colleagues, like outside of work. Like it's nice to, because we know each other so much. So you go to a hangout and you see uh, other company members, you're like immediately, like I have extra like crew or whatever. But also there is something about, I don't want to deal with you sometimes more than. what is necessary. And I think one of the things that you learn is that it's so important to have life outside the company, and and to hold the right proportion in, at least in your mind with, you know, because when you get carried away, you lose balance, and things can feel dramatic and catastrophic, and then you realize there was no, like, the drama was in your head, or yeah.
Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to ask, how do you create the life outside the company for you? How does it look like?
For me, whoa. I started developing hobbies, uh, you know, 'cause-
You know, this is so important.
yeah, it's like not for granted, because I think like the cliche about becoming a dancer is that your job is like you're doing what you love. But there's another tricky thing that happens once you take what you love and you make it into your job. Like the relationship changes. And so I think it's so important to have things that you love, that there's no fiscal transaction there. Like you don't get I'm not getting paid to go climb, or or to go to the gym, or yeah, I don't know, wakeboarding or whatever. I'm I'm,
Wakeboarding.
I'm an activities guy. Um, yeah, so developing a hobby, it's a bit tricky to maintain relationships with like friends outside of the company. It's not impossible. It's just tricky because your schedule is so off, and the work is very physical. So, I had a rehearsal day, let's say 10 until 6, happened many times the last season. And you do a run of a show, and after 6, you're physically exhausted, and you go home, and like, I'm physically incapable of like going out and partying, which is another funny thing. Like people who are not dancers, like on a weekend there's a party, like their hangout, their thing they're doing for fun, just for fun to let loose, is go dancing. But I find myself sometimes like, I don't want to be dancing, on my time off, because I'm dancing so much. Like, and I love to party, and I love to, I love a good time. But yeah, I found myself many times of like, oh, there's a good party in the weekend, but I'm like I want to rest, and my free time now will be go to the beach and something, very calm, go to the cinema, um, eat well, order food, and chill. And so yeah, so sometimes it's not perfectly aligning with, non-dancers. This can be tricky. Yeah,
Connecting the dots. So how do you do the hobbies when you're so exhausted?
ego. Pure ego.
Maybe that's why your name is Igor.
Yes. Um, no, I find myself many times like, oh, there's things I want to do, throughout my like casual routine, and I don't have the power, or I cannot take a vacation for a week because there is shows, and like the company counts on me, like I have a part. And so my cousins go to a ski vacation every winter. And the last 6 years, we're like, next year, if you leave the company, we go together, And and so this is something I've kind of want to do, and it doesn't really happen yet. And yeah, so at some point I noticed, or I realized that, like, if you don't lift your ass and go do the thing, it just stays in your fantasy. So it's juggling between those things, because sometimes we do get 2 days off. So if we do get 2 days off, let's say Friday, Saturday, then maybe I can, stay up late Thursday, maybe go to a party Thursday to rest Friday. Then Saturday I might have power to, for my activities. So it's kind of juggling it, and then also sometimes there's a weekend and I want to go visit my family in the north because they don't live around here. And so I started going to the north with my family and taking them to a climbing gym in the north. you know so just kind of like trying to combine it. Yeah, juggling it.
Yeah. I always say when people ask me about Gaga, I say, yes, there's Gaga people and there's Gaga dancers. And they ask me, what is the difference? And I tell them, dancers need other things. And then they ask me, but dancers are not normal people? And I tell them no. Because what you're telling right now, like when I hear this, I'm like, oh my God, you're not human. That's like crazy because the intensity of the work, the load is so big on your body. And you're saying, like, I get 2 days off. So the same day of the work, I go out, I party, then I rest for 2 days. That's like insane. I want to ask also about the intensity. How's the intensity in the company, like affecting
it,
your life?
it's intense. It's really intense. We perform a lot. I think also relative to other big name companies, uh, we perform double, if not triple, at some cases. Um, Also, I guess it depends also if it's like a rep company that having like 4 creations a season. We usually don't do that. We usually run with pieces that were created, and once in 2 seasons we have a new creation, generally speaking. Um, so we perform a lot, and it takes a toll on you, especially if there is a round of shows. We build a show that needs a special setup, and then we do 2 3 weeks of double shows. So there will be like 3 days in a row of double shows. Let's say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, double, double, double. Wednesday, day off. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, double, double, double. Like these things happen. Lately, we try to shift to not have too many times of 3 days of double and 3 days of double. So it will be like 3 days, day off, 2 days, day off. But still, and you run like this for 2 3 weeks. It's a lot. And during those periods, the especially intense periods, um, I put the rest of my life on pause. Sort of, this is what I'm doing. I'm coming home. Many times I don't have the power to make food, so I just order a lot. Or if I'm smart and the schedule catches me right, so I make a lot of food day or 2 days in advance, so I can, you know, save some money on ordering constantly. Yeah, and it takes a toll on you. And during those periods, I don't go to the gym, I don't go climbing, I barely go, to the beach or something like that. There's no conversation about partying or whatsoever. And even more than that, usually after such a period ends, there's another 2 or 3 weeks of recovery. Like even though there is no, a lot of shows, it's just you're so, zombied on like perform, perform, get better, that after it ends, there's a week of I go to rehearsal and, I'm on my sofa and please don't talk to me. So there is a price. There is a price we pay emotionally and physically, and if there's injuries or just exhaustion on the body, Like you take class the next day after, let's say day 5, 7 of double shows, you come to class and you find yourself like struggling to lift the arm, the leg, or like finding producing something that then you like kind of save so you have what to give in the show. It's tricky. There's a price. Yep.
And how do you know when to save energy and when to spare it?
I clearly don't. No, I'm joking. It's just I made mistakes that I pushed when I didn't need to and I got severely injured. So, for example, if you're lacking sleep, if you didn't sleep well, save your energy. Do it 80%, 60%. Don't go for the highest jump. Don't go for the like, highest kick. 'Cause your body is exhausted. You might tear something. Um, if you're not concentrated, if you are very emotional post breakup, maybe it's you're like letting go on stage, it's okay. But if you're like troubled, then take it easy. Like the body, accumulates injuries and they don't really go away. Like you can heal from an injury, but it's there, it's reserved. And at some point you accumulate enough of them that um, you're just constantly dealing with them. It's not that you cannot do things, but they're there. They're there. There are scars. There are, like a little scar tissue here and there. Just trauma is like, uh, printed. I don't know the right word. Almost like
Yeah.
burnt into your body. Your body is suddenly afraid of things, has memory, you have aches. Yeah, and to push is either where it needs by the choreography and when you feel you can do it, when you're not endangering yourself. And also maybe also when you have a lot of fun. But I almost don't want to say, like, I feel like there is something dangerous in saying push. Like like you can push, with the atmosphere, with passion, without uh, risking the body too much. I think the push shouldn't come on the body. The push can come in your fantasy, in how much you're diving into the thing, in your commitment to your fantasy, not necessarily push. Yeah.
And because we started talking about injuries, I know you had a very severe injury not so long ago. Would you like to share a little bit from your experience?
I herniated a disc. I basically the lost disc S1, the first disc S1 L5. I tore it really, really, really badly. It was a big, big tear. A lot of like the jello liquid inside the disc just poured out. Crazy inflammation. It touches the nerve, like on the spinal or whatever spinal cord,
Or
and I had it's called sciatica. Like basically, I had crazy, crazy, crazy pain in my legs. It's as if I felt electrified, just like into the leg, the backside of my leg. Every, let's say, 4 to 6 seconds, I would get like, you know, and it took it took some time to heal. And for the first month of that, it was that bad that I couldn't sleep. Like I would sleep 2 hours a night. I was medicated a lot. Like there was a conversation about having a surgery or not. But the two kind of categories by which they choose to operate you is either if you lose control over feces, like pooping and peeing, or if like you lose connection with the nerve in a way that like let's say you make a step, you step and your leg just drops, like, or you cannot resist, like, so you're like severely damaging the nerve. I had some nerve damage, but it wasn't too bad. Like I didn't lose my leg wouldn't collapse. It was a bit weaker, but didn't collapse. And I controlled my poops, which was when yeah,
Thank God.
yeah, I had to go through a test, getting into the hospital. So kind of put a finger and you have to squeeze it. It's not the most pleasant. And I got to the hospital. I went through all the tests and they released me. Like I saw the doctor and then a few days after, like 5 days after, I got to the hospital again and they hospitalized me for, and I stayed there like 5, 6 days. And so to register me, they had to go through the tests again.
Oh,
And I was
shit.
like, dude, I already, it's working. Like, no. It was like, sorry, we have, yeah. I'm sharing it. Okay. Um, yeah, and then I got the epidural, like so the doctor said that it's better not to operate. The only thing that the because it might heal better without operation. Because if you operate, the pain would go away immediately, but you will leave a serious scar tissue. And later, when you'll be like 50, 60, then the scar tissue will cause pain that now there's nothing to do about it. So it was like better to let the body heal itself. The payoff would be that the pain will stay. So it was like, so let's try to help you go through the pain. So he sent me to a pain clinic. I was medicated for quite some times, including opioids, and so I was severely medicated also in the hospital, and I still didn't manage to sleep. Like I still would sleep like 2 hours a day, and then after the epidural, which is very invasive. Shot straight to that area of the nerve with some steroids and another whatever, and only then like the shooting pain in the leg started to diminish um, meaningfully, and I could like fall asleep, but I was so like traumatized and almost like trained like a dog that the body is like knows that after 2 hours of sleep you wake up. Then I wouldn't have the pain, but I would wake up after 2 hours, and it took another kind of 5 days until I slept 6 hours in a row. So it was very dramatic.
And how long was the healing process of this whole thing?
That's the thing that after the epidural, I was very lucky. I think 3 months I already performed. No, I think after 3 months I came back to the studio. It was very severe because also before the epidural I would go to like I needed to pee. I would crawl on floor. Like I couldn't stand. I couldn't have a straight back. I couldn't sit, and I would have shooting pain. Like it was really really bad. Um, but yeah, once I got the steroid shots and eventually started going to the gym, working out on muscles that have nothing to do with the back. Like I started working out shoulders, chest, and lifting weights in a way that doesn't put pressure on the spine, like lying on the back and doing something like this. And this is where I felt the most improvement, because almost like you demand something from the body, the blood flows, hormones, whatever stabilize, whatever the thing is, and yeah, and the recovery just like went so fast. After 3 months, I joined the studio, I think, and like another month, maybe even less, I started performing, not at the highest intensity. And then yeah, so it was really like a miracle. But I also, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do it. So I really, really took it serious to eat healthy, to work out, a lot of sleep. I have a feeling this contributed a lot to,
For sure, it supports this process of healing. But did you have a feeling or thought that, or fear, maybe is best to say, that this is not going to pass? That
oh yeah.
maybe you're fucked?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I absolutely. Like because listen, there's something with the injury that now you can't dance, or you can't dance to your fullest capacity, or you can't dance, but then there is a level of, maybe like I can't walk, and then there is a level of like I can't. Like I just
Wow.
like I really needed help. I was very for that period I was very handicapped. Like I couldn't put my shoes on. I couldn't sit. I couldn't. Actually, funny, not funny. Actually, it was during I took a sublet at your place back then.
Mhm.
I took a sublet in your room for like a week and a half back then, and there were rockets. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just needed to run to the shelter, just and I could, and I stood up fast, thinking like maybe adrenaline would pass it, and just like I just collapsed on the floor and shouted out of crazy pain.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I thought I'm not coming back. I thought for longest time, for like there was like a month that I was like, I don't care about dancing, just like please I want to be able to walk. Like I want to be able to walk without experiencing pain. I first of all it was please I want to sleep, because so yeah, it felt impossible for quite some time, and then it felt obvious, at some point. So there was also something with like don't jump into conclusions, give yourself time. Yeah, also like friends, when people like came to visit, um not too many honestly, but even like family, or like my cousin, or like someone would come to visit, that was very, 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 very meaningful. So if you have injured friends, visit them, give them a call. It's so meaningful. Yeah, especially during those low points.
What did you learn from it?
I learned, I think that I got exposed to, how we said before about blind spots of yours. So suddenly I saw, coming back to dance, I saw that I had some blind spots in terms of like pushing my body, that I would have this mantra in my head, like to keep the body safe and blah blah blah, but there were moments that I didn't, and that I took the body for granted. Also, the way it happened was like it was, there was like two stages, but we had a tour to the States. We had shows, and I couldn't. I sleep really poorly on airplanes, so I didn't. I was extremely jet lagged, and we got like 2 days off prior to the show, but I didn't manage to sleep, and then I went to perform on lacking sleep, like seriously lacking sleep. And I felt that because I'm so down, like I don't want to perform and be so much under. So I was like, so I'm down, so I'll push a bit extra. And that's exactly when it happened. Like I had a spiral movement, and I was like, ah! And just my body went like, like, yeah.
And this happens on stage. And
This
how
happens
do
on
you
stage.
react? Do you keep going?
I keep going because in that specific show, it's called Momo. So we are four boys, and it's very like it doesn't really work with free special, like, so it's better that I stand in place and do nothing than completely going away. So and all this happens, calculations in the moment. So I realize that I cannot move my back, I cannot bend over, and I any like movement is really endangering. I realized that I hurt myself quite immediately, and I realized that it's meaningful very fast. And so I sort of dance like with my arms more, like if something needs to be, like arm and body, it would be like like I don't know, maybe like more head, but really all the torso is like hiding it, is really, really, really trying to hide. Everything goes down in terms of volume, like how much energy you put, really just kind of like get to the finish line. Yeah, but I finished that show, and then we were a month in the States, and I did, and it was the first show, and I didn't do any shows because
Ah.
also, and the manager offered me to fly me back to home, but it was also like not clear how severe, so we thought maybe like in a week I'll be able to perform. So let's stay here, rest, do physio, and then as the time went by, I already, anyway, I didn't perform at all. Coming back, because it happened in stages. It was the first stage, and then coming back, I felt better. I thought it's safe to come back. I bent over, and yeah, and then from there started the shooting pain in the leg, which was clearly like I needed to wait another 2 weeks or more. Who knows? I felt that I'm getting better. Like I just want to get back. And I got back and was kicked out for 3 4 months.
I think it's such an important reminder for all of us to like take your injuries into more consideration. Like give it your attention. This is what I mean. Because if something happened and you didn't treat it well, you will keep carrying it for a while. I'm wondering, after you came back, like after the healing process and everything, did you still have the pain going? Like, how do you feel about it today? And
Yeah, it's still there. It's you know compared to the peak of it, it's nothing. But I'm always careful with bending, like curving my spine, because when you curve, it kind of creates the pressure on the disc. So I'm really, really careful with curving. Um, you know, yeah, I'm constantly in consideration of the sensitive, basically fragile joint that I have now, because it can come back. So yeah, I'm dancing and I'm constantly in consideration with this thing. I'm not lifting with a curved back. Like I can lift, but I'm really keeping my core straight. Um, I'm not throwing the left leg so much. It used to it's my more flexible leg, but if I like push it and it kind of like pulls the pelvis, and so I'm in danger. So yeah, I have to be way, way, way more calculated than I was before. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, I want to take us to a different direction now. And I want to ask who inspired you in your journey, if you have any role models.
Uh, wow, many. Many, 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 many. Also for different reasons and different periods, from my journey growing up, maturing, uh, as a dancer, as an artist, as a human. You know, just the first thing that comes to my head is actually my teacher. I've been talking. I shared a little bit about Michal that really saved my
Mhm.
life and just showed me a path to something I couldn't imagine. But later, I had another teacher who, I was this talented boy who people kind of wanted to help, and because it's like envisioned a path for me to some sort of success. In high school, it was very clear that I'm going to be a dancer in, whatever, a company or something. And so, but then there was one teacher who was the dance department, the head of the dance department in high school, and she also, kind of mentored me a lot. But she really, and she told me that she was like, I don't want to be your mother. Like like she told me, I feel like a lot of people want to be your mother to kind of like, oh, you're this talented boy, and like, oh, you're like my son, and like I want to help. She was like, I want you to succeed, but I don't want you to be your I don't want to be your mother. Like you're you're growing up. Like I want, like you can do it. Like you don't need me to do things for you. Like you do it. You take responsibility. You know. And so that was such a like a thing to face. And also like there was an audition to Batsheva, to the ensemble. And but we had like a day after, we had something to do with like graduation, the exam in dance, whatever something. And she was like, I expect you to not go. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, because you have responsibility. Like I don't know. I'm not sure that was the right decision, but just the that sort of dilemma or sort of thing to deal with like finish your job properly, like like
Mhm.
this is almost like outside of dancing, moving, but let's say like you don't tell someone I'm gonna work for you and then kind of quit last moment, like this idea, or let's say you commit to a project and then like you get a better offer, so I just bail out on it. Like like first finish this one and then go. And then I had people who I got really inspired, uh, just dancers, seeing them how they perform, but then also uh, meeting some people who are, were just like wow for me, and then they're so chill and so like what's up, bro? Like and so that was another shift that I like, someone who I admire or see as this like elite dancer, like they are human and they don't live with that whatever like I put on them, like idolism, elitism, that I think, I don't know, if I think like you're the best dancer in the world and like you're so elegant and so, but then like I don't know, you didn't change your underwear for 2 days, like I don't, like, and it can coexist, because like everyone human, and something about, and there were people who, when I like joined the main company, like who were like, yeah, shout out to Billy Barry, who always had this thing with like new dancers in the company to like I'm your best friend now, and it's like, such a welcoming, like like, because everybody knows this confusion in the beginning, like being a beginner, and this is someone who like knows that and like takes responsibility for that, and really like hugging you through your fear. And yeah, and then like it's also people who I thought were lazy and were disrespectful and got like like main parts. And there was something in me that was like like you don't deserve it, but also something in that made me realize that it's like it, for each one it's working, or like it's working in a different way. Like like someone's magic is their nonchalant, and someone else's magic is their fire, and else's magic is their weirdness, their beauty, and And so to try uh, to go for the magic of someone else kind of disconnect. And it's not to say to like not take inspiration, because this is a, you know, a magical thing, but yeah, like find your own. Like I have a friend who was, you know, very close to me, especially in my beginning of my career in the company, who he shared with me that he had a rehearsal director who told him like he's a big guy, you know, and he like tried to be, you know, like someone else's, you know, was like weird and quirky, and he was like you're a tank, be a tank, you know, like you, don't go for, you don't need to go like for something you're not, like you're trying to dance like a proper, you know, modern dance, like your thing is like you have mass, and he's like you're he's like be a tank, you're a tank, be a tank. And so that was you know, very magical to hear.
It's so beautifully said because it's exactly the thing. There's no formula that fits everyone. Like each one should find their own way of curving their path into this profession. And I also think that sometimes we need to do something that is not who we are in order to understand who we are. So
Hmm.
maybe this person also got this understanding by trying to do something else that
Hmm.
felt so far away from who they are. And then it actually brings more knowing of
Hmm.
what you can do, what you have that is natural for you. Um, so to wrap it up, our beautiful conversation today, which I enjoyed a lot, Igor.
Hey, me too.
I want to ask if you have anything that you'd like to share, say, to dancers that are in the beginning of their career, that are looking for their way into this industry, anything.
I want to say something in the lines of keep loving it, or like make sure you're loving it and that you're enjoying what you're doing. And yeah, I think something sad that happens uh, with professional dancers is when they, you know, when it becomes like your like your profession. When how to call it, you know, when this like a inner child or like high school grad has this like, I want to be the best, I want to be the, like I want to be better than you know, and then it becomes about like you versus someone else, or you in relationship to something else, to like this comparison. And even if it's like competitive, it pushes me more, but it's like to not have this comparison, to not relate it to whatever this is in relationship to someone else, to go for your path, to go for, you know, what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I'll finish with this thing. One of the biggest compliment I ever got from a student after a Gaga class was that she was like, I I loved you so much as a teacher, and like your classes were so good that I realized I shouldn't be a dancer.
Wow.
You know? And it was like a tricky thing to receive.
Wow, that's
But
a huge one.
yes, but she was like, I like love it, and it's fun, and something about like like needing to perfect it, or putting yourself in this culture of like climbing, becoming better, is like almost like takes away from the essence of the thing itself, which is love, you know, to dance, to move, to perform. Like we all love attention, you know. So yeah, something out of that.
Wow. Wow, it touched me a lot, this one.
Yay.
Okay. Igor, I want to say thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. I had a
I
lot of fun.
really enjoyed everything in
As
our
okay.
conversation. And for
Thank
everyone that is listening, if you didn't subscribe to this podcast, this is the time. Please support this channel because I'm doing the work for you to spread the word that you will feel better, that you will have an easier time going through your career. And I love it when you share this podcast, those episodes. So if you had a meaningful time listening to this one, send it to someone who needs to hear this. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye, and thank you very much.
Woo!